Hey guys, this is Jay Calder from JAYONBOXING here giving you a personal prediction for Jaime Munguia versus Ryder. And as always, this is just my take, of course. Your predictions can be left down in the comments section below. Would love to hear them all. But before we get started, of course, like, comment, share, do all that great stuff. Smash that like button, as it were. Greatly appreciated. It definitely helps out the channel. And a little bit of fight info here. We have Jaime Munguia taking on Ryder. As mentioned, this will be at the Footprint Arena in Phoenix, Arizona, airing live on DAZN in the super middleweight division, with no titles on the line, but certainly a lot of big fights potentially at stake for both men. So this is an interesting one for sure, especially from the Jaime Munguia perspective, but really from both, because a win for the Mexican possibly, maybe, in the future sets up that coveted Canelo-Alvarez showdown. On the other hand, losing to a fighter that Canelo already beat in Ryder, yeah, pretty much kills that opportunity. For Ryder, while he isn't likely to get those massive fights, another Canelo fight if he wins or anything like that, he may have a ton of domestic matchups he can take, and the cachet of a Munguia win adds some real value, both to him in terms of negotiations, but also in really selling those fights in the future. So while maybe not a title fight or anything like that specifically on the line, there is a bunch at stake for both men, and they desperately need a win to keep that idea alive. So who takes this one? Let's break this one down and find out. And starting with the slight favorite here in Munguia, for Munguia to win, you want to focus on the left hook. That's your bread and butter, the best shot that you throw. Naturally, that means you want to throw it, though it needs to be set up with some nuance. And that could be throwing it with a bit more jabbing and then kind of turning over that second jab, for example. Also just using that first jab as more of a blinder. It can also be done by throwing more of a right hand a bit more often as well. You throw it pretty consistently, but certainly focusing on it isn't going to hurt you. Get him used to that other look, then break that guard down with that shot, and then begin landing the left hook. What's more, Ryder has a tendency to lean to one side or the other when he anticipates a shot. If you get him leaning away from the right hand and into the left hand far more consistently, eventually, as the fight wears on, all the better for you, because that left hook will ultimately catch him if he's doing it too consistently, and it's something you get a read on and then can anticipate yourself. I would also say keep your combinations tight. You have the faster hands, longer arms, I believe, and you can throw solid 2 to 4 punch combinations, so you want to do so, but you want to do it safely. You'll want to avoid certain situations that ultimately leave you a bit too exposed. You don't want to throw so many shots that you get into needless exchanges. That gives Ryder more chances than he's earned. You also don't want to tire out or burn out. Again, you're still relatively new to the higher weights you're fighting at. Carrying that extra weight is already a challenge in and of itself. You certainly don't want to exhaust yourself by so much output, while giving Ryder, who's been at the weight a bit longer, more of a chance to kind of wear into the fight because you're tiring or slowing down. What's more, you're not going to necessarily hurt him with a single shot. Again, he's been at the weight before. You want to make sure that you're not trying to beat him with power outright. You're going to probably beat him with more combination punching and a bit more speed, which you have a bit more of. Then, as he's getting used to those shots and you're touching him up a bit more, the heavier blows will start to come. But ultimately, you want to avoid those exchanges and don't get so caught up in trying to knock him out with a single shot. Keep it tight, 3-4 punch combinations, and then move away safely. And finally, I would say don't smother your work. Again, you don't want to necessarily be in there throwing 6-7 punches in a row. You're exposing yourself too much, but you also don't want to get inside and not allow yourself to throw anything. You want to be in that perfect range where you can fully extend on your blows and get your punches off against especially a slower handed fighter who wants to get inside, but make sure that you're finding that perfect range to do so. Keep that distance and push him back with those longer shots. Then you get that extensions I've mentioned on those punches and keep Ryder from really building into the fight. When you're inside too much, you run more risks, whether being tagged yourself, not getting full power, having a heavy guy lean on you, again, that you might not be necessarily used to. So find that range that's safe and allow yourself to get your best work off while keeping Ryder away from his own. Now, switching over to Ryder. For Ryder to win, you want to sneak in the uppercut. Munguia likes to come in a bit quickly at times. He will bounce in and out, so to speak, darting in and out, trying to land those bigger shots. When he does that, there is an opportunity. That uppercut can definitely land as Munguia springs in, especially if he's getting a bit overzealous, leaning over that front foot, trying to overextend, and you have a decent uppercut. It's relatively quick and tight, so thrown well and in those moments, and I think you have a shot at making him pay for those kinds of mistakes. Uncoil that uppercut when Munguia comes in and is looking to pounce, and you can use the double impact of that blow when you're throwing it and he's coming in to have more of an effect, especially because, again, you might be the naturally heavier guy. It's certainly a blow that can land for you. time it and look for him to kind of make those moves inward, and you can definitely have some success with that uppercut. I would also say back Munguia straight up. At times, Munguia will make mistakes for sure, and mostly those mistakes come on the defensive side. For starters, that chin isn't always tucked, and that fact can be further exposed when he backs up in straight lines, which he does from time to time. Use a jab to back him up, or even off the back of that uppercut, and follow it up by stepping in with some of those straighter shots, which I think will be available if you time that uppercut well, or those jabs get going and it really pushes and snaps his head back. Those mistakes are made, yes, by Munguia when he backs up, when that chin is exposed, but you have to make him pay for it to matter. This fight doesn't mean anything if you don't make him pay for it. What's more, he doesn't fight as well off the back foot, so the further you can kind of get him going in reverse, the better opportunities you have to score and get your work done. And that can start either by you getting a decent jab, a double jab going at times to back him up in that straight line and stepping into it, or even landing that uppercut to get him going in reverse. And finally, don't neglect the body. Munguia is maybe the naturally lighter man, still maybe adjusting to carrying the new weight, as I've kind of alluded to in all of these keys. But you need to test that theory by attacking the body. It's the best way to find out for sure he really belongs at 168 pounds. Again, he's been mostly middleweight or less his whole career. It's really only been a few fights recently where he's moved up. So test that theory. Is he really not quite a super middleweight? What's more, with your shorter arms, it's easier to get those body shots in if you guys happen to be in close, which I think there will be a lot of infighting moments if you can take advantage of them in this fight. When he falls in, you step in to kind of get out of his range. I've also noticed that Munguia has faded somewhat at times, at least, because again, he throws so much. He has a pretty high volume work rate. He can get into some tear-ups, and again, lighter guy, it can happen there as well. So attacking the body will further that along while also helping to lower his guard. You combine that by also making him back up in that straight line, and you have tons of openings and opportunities you'll just have to take advantage of. And in terms of my pick here, Ryder isn't a massive underdog, and for good reason. He has a shot, but I am rolling with Munguia in this one. I think it will be back and forth at times, and Ryder will certainly have his moments. Still, I think Munguia will use the speed and some movement here with some of that reach to score and kind of stay out of danger. He'll probably put together some really dynamic rounds as well. Munguia will get the left hand going, use those combinations, and may even drop Ryder. However, I think that settles the fight more than ends it, and Munguia is just kind of allowed to pile up the points and pick up a solid, relatively close decision as kind of Ryder maybe still attempts to win the fight at times, but more or less disengages down the stretch. Winner, Jaime Munguia via relatively close unanimous decision. And in terms of the betting odds here, Munguia is a basic 3-1 favorite at -290, with Ryder coming in at a +215. Not huge odds one way or the other. Honestly, you could really justify almost any pick here. Even 3-1 in a fight that you're pretty confident in is not a terrible set of odds if you're a Munguia backer. For Ryder, of course, you're getting 2-1. Certainly nothing to scoff at there if you happen to like the upset. Either way you go there, you can justify. Just kind of depends, obviously, on what you see and what kind of value you're looking at there. And again, this is just the books that I'm following. There are a lot of other books out there. You can find maybe some wider odds that you might find a bit more kind of close to your liking. In terms of the over-under, it is set at basically a decision at a 10.5, with the over coming at a -220 and the under coming at a +165. That seems pretty logical to me. Again, I almost like that odd more than the money line, especially the over. I'm getting 2-1. I do kind of think this fight goes to the decision, so it makes a lot of sense to me. If I was looking at a line, that might be something that I'd look into, but in any event, those are your odds. And my prediction record as of this recording is 5-1 with 4 exact, but let me know what you think and your bets, your picks, your thoughts, all that good stuff down in the comments. And of course, please be sure to like and share, subscribe, follow all the social media here, and of course, be sure to check out JAYONBOXING.com for schedule, results, betting odds, grades, rankings, and more. And as always, until next time.